So, would it really be like a crack house, as Colorado's U.S. Attorney says?
This is not a crack house, and that terminology, quite frankly, is offensive.
Is it fair to claim the safe injection sites in Canada prove such a plan would make things worse in Denver? A local comedian has been invited to perform in a city that's been called the most racist in the country. And 3 lawmakers nobody voted for will take their place at the state capitol. That sounds weird. We explain how. It's definitely a Colorado newscast with horses, a triathlete, and a Jeep. Next. We like to believe we know this well. You have to be careful about how you present facts and make sure you give the right perspective. We applied that same philosophy to a letter the Fed sent out this week slamming Denver's plans for a safe injection site. Here's Anusha Roy.
The letter paints a grim picture, saying safe injection sites are illegal under federal law and might not save more people from dying from a drug overdose. The Colorado U.S. Attorney and DEA said their proof is in Vancouver, in Canada. A similar program there helped shape the Denver City Council ordinance approved last month.
Proud of you.
The letter said one of the areas surrounding a supervised use site had the highest number of people dying from drugs in the city. So it's probably not surprising that people on the grounds in Canada said, oh, hold on a sec. The British Columbia Coroner's Office said, yeah, more people are dying from drugs since 2016, but that has a lot to do with the growing problem of fentanyl, a dangerous synthetic opioid. But no one has died after walking into a supervised injection site. And researchers in Canada said, of course, overdose death rates can be higher around these sites. That's why they were put there in the first place.
Same thing with this. This is a new concept.
And here's the thing. Even supporters say there isn't a lot of great data because there isn't enough research.
We can stop the sharing of needles and syringes so we can stop the spread of communicable disease. There's a lot of public health benefit, even if we don't know yet whether this is going to actually end up getting more people into treatment or more people, lives saved long term and all that, which we just don't know.
So the question becomes, does Denver step in to find out, or wait for more answers?
So it's really important to remember here, guys, that the state still has to agree to waive a nuisance ordinance so that a potential safe injection site wouldn't get in trouble for drugs on the property. The state legislator, though, has said no to this before. It was on Valentine's Day. And even if they get the green light in Colorado, this does not become a mandate of what's going to happen in Colorado.
Sure.
It just opens the door so that cities and communities can decide what do they want to do.
Yeah, I think this is a testament. When you try something new that's really never been done before here in the United States, at least here in Denver, you really have no data to look back.
Yeah, and even around the world, right? It's just not a big enough pool of data. And like a lot of these experts are saying, they set it up to save lives, not for research. So it's a little bit hard to tell exactly how it would play out.
Good deal. Well, we'll see how it works out. Thanks, Anusha. Democrats have control of the state Senate. And when lawmakers get back to work, 3 of those Democratic senators will be lawmakers nobody voted for. So that sounds kind of weird. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger is here to explain why 3 lawmakers are resigning and the benefit their replacements may receive. Marshall.
Jeremy, Democrats Matt Jones from Louisville, John Kafalis from Fort Collins, and Daniel Kagan from Cherry Hills Village all have 2 more years as state senators, except they're resigning. Jones ran for election as Boulder County Commissioner and won, so he's gone. John Kafalis did it for Larimer County Commissioner. He won. He's gone. As for Kagan, well, he's simply just resigning. Vacancy committees in those 3 districts, basically meaning really involved political people, will handpick their replacements. Kagan is the state senator who was accused of using the women's restroom. An investigation found that he likely did do that 3 times in 2017, though he stands firm he used the unmarked bathroom once and by accident. We know why Jones and Kafalis are resigning, but is this why Kagan is resigning?
Not at all. That was a little tempest in a teapot that was blown up into a big thing about an incident a couple of years ago, and no, that had no bearing on it. I was beginning to feel in need of a little relaxation of the work pressure, relaxation of the schedule. If you're not able or willing to give absolutely 100%, you should let somebody else have a go.
The people who are picked to replace these three won't have to be on a ballot until 2020, and those replacements may get the benefit of a free 2-year term. What does that mean? If you serve less than half of a term, it doesn't count against term limits. Senators are allowed 2 4-year terms, and depending on when these three replacements are sworn in, those replacements could potentially be eligible for 10 years in the Senate, Jeremy, instead of 8.
Deal, right on. Thanks for the breakdown, Marshall. Appreciate that. Governor-elect Jared Polis today named one of his former political rivals to a senior staff position within his future administration. Kerry Kennedy will be his senior advisor for fiscal policy. The former state treasurer and chief financial officer for Denver came in a distant second against Polis in the Democratic primary election. Our next question comes from Sam about CU's new football coach. He asks, how is it okay for the athletic department to announce multi-million-dollar contracts without approval from the regents? CU has picked Mel Tucker as its next head football coach. The former University of Georgia defensive coordinator was introduced today at a news conference. He's been offered a 5-year deal worth just shy of $15 million. Funny thing is, though, his contract hasn't been approved yet. University regents won't meet until next week to vote on the deal. A CU spokesman told us that there really is no wink, nod, or rubber stamp from the regents. They have been made aware of the contract details, so they're not surprised. But the contract still requires their approval. We asked what would happen if the regents don't like the terms. The chairwoman would rather not speculate on what ifs, but if there are issues with the contract, the board will discuss that in the public. We've been talking about possible new rules for those scooters you see all over downtown Denver. These rules may sound a bit confusing. If they pass city council, you might need a flow chart to figure out where you can ride these things. Arnold Brennan breaks everything down with the help from his alter ego.
So you want to ride one of those snazzy electric scooters in Denver? Joel sure does. He's ready to go. But hold on there, sport. Denver is considering new rules for these contraptions. If there's a bike lane available, use it. But don't go faster than 15 miles per hour. Got it? Good. But wait, if there's no bike lane, you can ride in the road, but only if the speed limit doesn't top 30 miles per hour. And you have to ride on the right side of the road. But if there's no bike lane and the speed limit tops 30 miles per hour, you have to scoot in the sidewalk, okay? Good. One more thing, keep your speed at 6 miles per hour and yield to pedestrians. Remember those 8 simple rules, and happy scooting, sport. For next, I'm Noel Brennan.
Scooter, yeah, I love scooters.
I think that mustache is fake. Denver police say they're taking a look at these proposed rules, and if and when they pass, police will be responsible for enforcing them. If you've been watching all this week, holding the fort for Kyle, you know I like random things. I like Denver and I like history, so let's delve into some more random Denver history. Exactly 100 years ago today, December 6, 1918, this Christmas ad for a Kodak camera appeared in the Rocky Mountain News. Snapping a single photo back then took a lot of maintenance and time. This ad said you could develop your film at Ford's shop at 1029 16th Street in Denver for 10 cents a roll. Today, that address doesn't exist anymore, but in that area along the 16th Street Mall, you can find a plaza full of modern shops like a juice bar and a cell phone store. I took these location photos with my highly advanced cell phone. Of course, photography has changed so much since 1918, we can snap selfies in split seconds and share them instantly. As for Kodak, the company kind of failed to keep up with modern times. It filed for bankruptcy 6 years ago and stopped making cameras, but it still makes printing products, though. Stand-up comedian from Denver has been invited to perform in what's been called the most racist city in America.
They had a billboard there that was about as racist as you could be.
Training for an Ironman can get complicated when you're blind.
He has an amazing work ethic, the stuff that he goes through just to get a lot of this training done.
And a very Colorado way to take a lunch break. hold your horses. Okay, no more awful puns or jokes, I promise. Saddle up, we're next.
Too often we fall into this, there's this side and there's this side. Well, you know what? Sometimes this side isn't telling the truth, and we should be saying that. It's important to hear things you don't agree with because it is the single best way to test your own beliefs. It's a sign of thoughtfulness to hear a perspective that you disagree with and to say, you know what? I hadn't considered that. That's a really good point. I want to give you a fresh perspective, something that you haven't thought of. It doesn't matter if you agree. It just matters that we listen to each other.
Hey, which one of you is horny? How did I get here? My mom was horrible and drove me to drink, which led to drugs. Remember me? But I cleaned up my act. Wish I hadn't spit in his latte. For that glamorous... You look like a slutty highlighter. Single mom life. Why aren't you wearing pants? I was relaxing. And now I'm back here, living with my mom.
That changes everything. You deserve a cupcake.
5 nights a week on Channel 20.
We are Broncos.
I'm a Broncos fan because we got the best team in the NFL. My whole life I've been a Broncos fan.
Denver till we die. We bring the thunder. Bronco fans are the best.
It's probably the most exciting thing that you could ever feel.
They're the best team in the league, obviously. We got the best fans. The whole stadium shakes and everybody's jumping around and rooting and hollering. There's nothing like this crowd.
Broncos fans will always stay loyal.
We're looking forward to another Super Bowl win. This is Bronco country. We bleed orange and blue.
There have been frightening things in the news lately, familiar things for many Coloradans. Check in with your family and friends. If you or someone you know needs mental health support or emotional help, it's available right this second. A real person ready to provide real problem solving. Call or text Colorado Crisis Services. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.
Change starts with one courageous person who steps up and speaks out. If you've been wronged or see wrongdoing, email us at blowthewhistle@9news.com.
Time now for the most Colorado thing we saw today is a row of horses parked, is that the right word, or hitched, outside of Noodles and Company in Parker around high noon. A next viewer named Bill snapped this for us. He says what a trail hand wants at the end of a long day in the saddle isn't baked beans, but some Thai noodles. Or perhaps the riders are inside filling out some applications, seen as how the restaurant is hiring. Send your most Colorado pictures to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext.
Jeremy, those folks are probably my friends and neighbors out there in Parker, so we say hello to you all tonight. Love working with you, Jeremy. Always squeeze in a horror story right before weather when I'm here. Thank you for that. You know what? I'm going to bring you a warming trend heading into the weekend. How about that? That's what I can provide. We had temperatures below freezing, and we should be in the mid-40s this time of year. We'll be trending in the right direction starting tomorrow. But right now, it's 24 outside with a wind chill of 13, so plan accordingly for tomorrow morning. We have a California storm bringing some heavy rain and the threat of mudslides to Los Angeles and Malibu, Long Beach tonight. Winter weather and travel advisories out for the southern mountains of San Juan's, looking for about 3 to 6 inches of snow and probably the most difficult travel across the state. Denver and the Front Range, we're just seeing that cold, bitter air move in. It's going to drop all the way south. The California storm moves inland, and then we're going to see things kind of calm down a little bit. So you'll encounter a few snow showers over I-70 late tonight, but lower elevations along the Front Range and Eastern Plains will stay dry and will kick off that much advertised warming trend, but not tonight. Clear, cold, and 17 with clouds moving in late. Bit of a wind shift, and so we'll see temperatures start to rise tomorrow. I do believe we'll touch 40 in the city. We go warmer for the weekend. Matter of fact, we've got 50s coming up ahead of a more active weather pattern for the middle part of next week. Jeremy, back to you.
Right on. Monday actually looks good. Thank you, Kathy. Denver stand-up comedian Sam Adams has a routine with more than 28 million views online. He talks about being black and his true color. One of those online views has led to a gig in an unlikely city, a city that's been called the most racist in the country. We caught up with Adams before he left for Harrison, Arkansas.
I mean, think about this. Black guy who declares his skin tone as chocolate indulgence in a comedy video that is posted on Facebook and goes viral, receives his first booking opportunity from a town labeled the most racist in America. You can't write that in Hollywood. People were saying things like, your message is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your talent. And that whole bit seemed to touch people from all over the world.
We all have a true color. I know my true color. I'm a shade of brown called chocolate indulgence. Hello.
The messages were so strong in support of being against racism that I felt like taking this gig is my way of saying people want to hear this message. I should go out and deliver it.
We're not just black and white like they label us. Maybe they'll stop asking us what color we are. They'll find some much more important things in the world to solve, okay?
To have a video, a comedy video, go viral, and like I said, to have that first contact come from this particular town. Why not? Laughter has no color. It's just laughter. So that's all I'm doing is coming to make you laugh.
Adams will perform tomorrow in Arkansas and then move on to Provo, Utah the next day. Just finishing an Ironman wasn't enough. A blind athlete from Colorado wanted to do it in record time.
I think there are some videos out there of me looking pretty delirious, and I couldn't really talk straight.
Occasionally, when Jeeps go off the road, they're also crossing a line. And a warning, not every trash can is telling the truth. Next.
Hey, Denver, what happens when the most daring team in daytime takes on trending stories live? Anything and everything.
I am pro sex workers. You're crazy.
I said it. You are totally off base here. I can't believe I'm saying this. I do agree with you. Denver, join the live conversation.
With the DBL Nation.
Daily Blast Live, the talk of what's trending. Weekdays at 1 on 9 News.
I aspire to be a writer. New York Times bestseller is the dream.
My dream is to become a marine biologist and to work hands-on with animals.
I dream to travel around the world and be an influential speaker.
I want to be a businesswoman or a doctor.
My goals and aspirations are to make a difference.
My dream is to be an Air Force pilot.
I want to go to med school and I want to be a trauma surgeon.
I always ask my family for world peace for Christmas.
Justice is here. If you haven't tuned in to the Justice Network, then you're missing a program lineup dedicated to stories of true crime and investigation.
No one vanishes without a trace.
Quality series rich in suspense, mystery, and intrigue.
Put your hands above your head. Back up.
Plus, a public safety initiative to make your community safer.
Join me, John Walsh, on the all-new Justice Network.
Get to know the Johnsons 5 nights a week.
How about I give you $100?
No, 200, and you agree not to have any more children.
Okay, that's a decision I have. No, no.
A traditional family.
I'm here to help.
You're not Mom.
Where's Mom?
And an unconventional comedy.
I think you look good for your age, Dad.
40's not bad, right?
You're only 40? Good Lord, you've lived a hard life.
Weekdays starting at 5 p.m. on Channel 20.
Me TV presents Potter Poetry.
Oh, pony pucks, bull cookies, horse hockey, pigeon pellets, mule muffins, monkey muffins, beaver biscuits, buffalo bagels, buffalo chips. That's what she said. Suffering buffalo chips, suffering saddle soap, suffering sheep dip.
Watch Colonel Potter on MASH.
Hot diggity, hot saucy, hot mustard.
MASH, weeknights starting at 6 on Me TV.
Join the Denver Business Journal for State of the Cities. Mayors from the metro area discuss plans, projects, and economic development for 2019. Enjoy breakfast and hear a candid conversation about the future of the metro area. To register, go to denverbusinessjournal.com.
Technically speaking, if there are no lines, you can't cross a line. But that doesn't stop our viewers from pointing out when someone has crossed a line, figuratively speaking. There are no lines in the grass outside Vasa Fitness at Buckley and Quincy because that might imply it's for parking. It's not, despite the Jeep seen here. A next viewer named Chris took this picture for us. When you're going to the gym to pump iron, you can't park far away, right? You need all the energy you have to hit the barbell. Help us improve parking in Colorado by sending pictures to next@9news.com or get our attention with the Hey Next hashtag. An Ironman is the ultimate triathlon. A couple of miles of swimming, 100+ more biking, and then a full marathon to finish. I'm just tired of reading that. Photojournalist Brian Wendeland met an Ironman athlete who has yet another obstacle to overcome on race day.
Easy isn't a word Kyle Kuhn uses very much.
Yeah, I was about 9 years old when I started rock climbing. Let's do it.
He's always pushing, always setting new goals.
I hiked a variation of the Inca Trail into Machu Picchu when I was 14, and then when I was 15, climbed and summited Mount Kilimanjaro.
Always trying something harder.
I did my first triathlon in 2015.
Maybe that's because the hardest part of Kyle's life came when he was just a kid.
I was 10 months old when I was diagnosed, and eventually had to just do a lot of various types of cancer treatments, and had to have my left eye removed when I was 5 and my right when I was 6, which left me totally blind.
Focusing here on the vastus medialis, right?
Kyle's race guide is Alan Greening.
I like to think of it as just Kyle is basically borrowing my eyes for the day.
After triathlons, Kyle started borrowing Alan's eyes for Ironmans. 2.4 miles swimming, 112 by bike, and 26.2 on foot.
All right, that's enough.
I don't know if it's group suffering. Like we all know what each other is going through.
In November, Kyle reached another goal.
So I became the first person who's totally blind to go under 11 hours for an Ironman branded race.
10 hours, 59 minutes, and 17 seconds.
I was pretty wiped, but I was also just so jazzed up and excited. And
it's probably the hardest I've pushed at the end of a race ever, because I wasn't doing it for me, I was doing it for him.
Next up on Kyle's checklist, qualify for the 2020 Paralympics in Tokyo. For Next, I'm Brian Wendland.
That's pretty awesome. Kyle is moving to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs next month to start training for that goal of qualifying for the Tokyo Paralympics. How about that? If you watch TV with an antenna or a converter box, you'll need to rescan your channels tomorrow. We are tinkering with our over-the-air signal. Rescanning actually is easy. On Friday, grab your remote and press Menu, select Setup or Settings, then choose Auto Tune or Auto Scan, depending on your TV. Wait for the scan to finish. Then you'll be able to keep watching 9 News and your favorite shows. Again, this is just people with an antenna or converter box, and we have information about the rescan at 9news.com. We're also hoping to find someone who's up for letting our Steve Stager show them how to rescan during 9 News mornings tomorrow. So if you'll be up early and don't mind being on TV, shoot us an email at rescan@9news.com. That's rescan@9news.com. Recycling takes some extra effort, and then there's the trash can that just pretends to help. More on that next.
To improve your production skills or you're just starting out, Denver Open Media can help. Classes include production, studio, editing, graphics, and animation. Learn what it takes to make your own studio show with a full crew. Learn how to properly use lights, camera, and sound. Finish editing your short film or create your own graphics. Denver Open Media is a terrific resource for you to turn your idea into a reality. Sign up today at denveropenmedia.org.
I'm Marty Caniglio, sharing Colorado's weather stories. 9 News, everywhere.
Like lightning on the Great Plains, a spark ignites the imagination of a young 4-H member named Ryan. As a teenager, Ryan explores the wonders of nature. As a young man, he experiments, discovering new possibilities. As a scientist, Ryan uses a new technology to detect an invisible tumor in a little girl's eye. The 4-H commitment of fostering 1 million new scientists and engineers is being embraced by companies and universities around the country. With their help, 4-H is growing the next generation of great thinkers like Ryan. 4-H, 1 million new scientists, 1 million new ideas.
I really didn't feel safe anymore at home.
Sometimes I wouldn't eat. It was like this hunger pain in your stomach.
It was just so lonely. I just felt like I was not important to anyone.
I never thought homelessness could happen to someone like me.
I remember coming here and I felt comfort, I felt safe.
Graduating to valedictorian, getting a job, keeping the job, it's just a good feeling.
Because I've completely turned my life around and made it into what I've always wanted it to be. There's people out there who can help. There's people out there who care. And things can get better.
If you call 1-800-RUNAWAY, you will get connected to the help you need.
It's a sign that's separating plastic from all the other waste in a trash can. You can see one side is supposed to be for recycling, but it's actually going all to the same spot. A sharp next viewer named Robert noticed this in the waiting room at the Groove Ford on Arapahoe last month. Send pictures of the odd signs you see to next@9news.com, or you can use the hashtag HeyNext on social media. We have a question from Stan. Can you get a DUI on a scooter, Stan? Yes, you can. Don't booze and scoot. I'll be back here tomorrow. See you then.